Right team, welcome to episode 32 of Warren's Removals TV. On this episode we're going to have a little bit of fun with the team. We're going to dive into the business side of things. We're going to talk about how emotionally attached I used to be, and I'm even going to talk about a business I've almost purchased. I'm Warren and this is Warren's Removals TV.
Plans for 2025, so something I get asked quite often is what I've got planned for this year. Although I'm not that big on planning things like this, I do like to run with the demand, and then we can buy stuff, we can improve the business and grow the business whilst the demand is there. And obviously at the moment we are super reliant on the government, so we unfortunately live in a business which relies on the property market, and the property market relies on the government, so it's not always easy, and in April it's going to get even harder for us. However, this year we are looking to do a couple of things. The first one is what I've already mentioned. I do want to start looking at businesses. Hopefully we can get a business over the line this year, and when I say businesses I do mean removal companies. And the next one is we want to start to look at putting a staff member or maybe two staff members through the HGV again. So we still want staff members to climb the ladder, need to give them something to look forward to, and we need other staff members to see that the business is constantly evolving. So over the next 6 to 9 months we will be looking to buy another lorry, hopefully another removals company, and lots more things as well in the pipeline. So in a nutshell, 2025 is exciting. Again, we are reliant on the property market, but we never let that kind of stuff get in the way. We will always try our hardest to muscle through.
Right, today we are wrapping all the office desks. You may have seen before, they used to be white, which was a wrap, maybe put on about 2 years ago or so. Today we're renewing it with black, as you can see. Slightly more high end, we like to think, but yeah, it's probably going to take another day or so. So yeah, probably 2 or 3 days in total to do only 5 desks. We're a bit slow. We're not pros at this, but we have figured over the times of doing these 5 desks and more desks. 3 crucial tools. Heat gun, it shrinks the wrap nicely around the corners, helps prevent bubbling when you've got the air underneath the wrap. Stanley knife, obviously, for cutting the wrap, obviously self-explanatory. And then some form of flat tool. This just works really nicely. A bit of tape on the bottom there, just to scratch the wrap. Nice and simple. So the wrap cost about £140, all 5 desks. And then obviously the cost of us doing it, but it's still a hell of a lot cheaper than getting new desks.
Rory, I've got a question for you.
Okay.
So you've got to answer this.
Yeah.
Don't just think of the moral answer and the best moral thing to do. Think of the future, a future thing, okay?
Go on.
£50 million today,
Yeah.
but your mom has to go to prison for 3 years.
I'll write to her.
Okay, so I got a phone call the other day from an iMove user that was asking me for advice on a situation he had with a staff member, and I spent about 20 minutes on the phone to him explaining how I would act in this situation and what the best protocol would be in dealing with it. And it made me think that over the last 5 years I have become such a much calmer person. I'm a way more rational whenever it comes to situations that used to really grind on my nerves, that really used to make me act hot-headed. And you do get this in business because you're always running on emotion anyway. So when something wrong happens, you can act irrational. So over the last 5 years, ever since I stopped drinking, if I'm honest, I now have a 48-hour rule. And the reason that I've got a 48-hour rule is because after 48 hours, your body has naturally calmed down and your mind has calmed down, and you can start thinking more rational about what has happened within the business.
Then challenge. Techers.
Oh, that would have been a noise. That was Techers as well. Oh.
Winner.
Okay, little section about iMove. So we've been investing a hell of a lot of time and money into more features, more development. So over the last few years, we've added around about 70 different updates. So as we are doing this, we are needing to update our website, which is here. So you can see here, if you're interested in using iMove, please check out our website. You can see all the new features that we are adding. We have recently added a Blink payment link, which is amazing. It gives the customer the ability to pay via a link, and a customer can even use Apple Pay, which is one of the best features in the world, if you ask me. Yeah, so our website is very, very slick, easy to use, and please check it out and get in touch if you are interested in using iMove.
Hi guys, so in this segment I'm going to speak to you a little bit about our end of year, which is coming up shortly. So we're really busy at the moment, obviously preparing for that, and we're going to hopefully have made quite a big increase on last year. We're looking at around 17% as it stands currently on our turnover, that is. Around 12% of that comes from our storage. That's not including South Store, which is a separate entity here. So we're really pleased with that progress. So I think there's a few reasons why we are seeing that 17% increase in our profit and loss. I think one of the reasons is that we have taken on some new members of staff, which are great assets to the company. We've also got some new vehicles, which again are great assets and mean that we can, those two together mean that we can take on more work, which in turn obviously gives a bigger turnover. But I think the main reason is that we are now really in touch with our profit and loss and our profitability on the jobs that we do. So every month we sit down as office managers and we will go through the profit and loss with a fine-tooth comb and look through everything that we are buying, everything that's coming in, everything that's going out, and make sure it all adds up. And it's something that's key to a business, is to make sure that you know your figures exactly.
Him cook! I said let him!
My name's Jacob, and myself and Joe this morning have been over to Birmingham to collect a load for storage. On the back of this van, we have a very expensive and heavy one-of-one marble table, which I'm going to need the lads to help me load into the storage crate for later on. We're on the unload now, and the lads have got forearm straps on the marble table just to make sure that there's extra stability when moving, and with a piece this heavy it gives us extra strength when moving the table into the store.
talk finance and vehicle assets. So let's dive into this a little bit, because over the last week or two I've made the decision to pay off our lorry, which is a big achievement for us at Warren's. We have now completely paid off our finance, so I'm going to take it back a little bit. So we got this lorry in November 4 years ago. The lorry itself was £80,000 plus VAT, which takes the total cost to £96,000. At the time, we decided to pay £40,000 off plus the VAT. So we paid £16,000 in VAT plus £40,000 up front, which left £40,000 to put on finance. We spread our £40,000 as a vehicle asset finance over 4 years, so 48 months. And we've been paying £966 a month to pay off that debt for the last just over 3 years. So over the last couple of weeks, we've decided to pay that off and get out of the red. And it got me thinking, because I speak to a lot of removal companies and I get asked for advice on whether you should take out finance, you should get a lease vehicle, or whether you should pay the whole vehicle up front. And it got me thinking, because obviously over 48 months, paying £966 a month, we have paid in interest over £6,000. Now that £6,000 is obviously a lot of money. However, it's all about business cash flow. And it's very difficult to spend £96,000 in a one-er. It's almost impossible, because quite a lot of companies, including us, don't have that kind of money in the bank account. However, if it was a smaller purchase, say 25,000 plus VAT, and you had that type of money in your bank account, I'm interested in your opinions if you would spend it all up front and pay it off completely, or whether you would actually spread the finance and pay interest. Now, most asset finance agreements are front loaded with interest. So even if you pay it off early, you still have to pay the finance first, the interest first. So I'm interested in your thoughts. Please let me know. Okay, so just quickly want to talk about my rule of thumb at Warren's Removals. Present day, we do not want any more than 3 vehicles on finance. We currently operate 14 in total. So the reason I decided to pay off the lorry finance early is because we have a brand new van on the way. So in the next couple of months, we're going to get a brand new van. And I'm not really in the position, or I don't really want to pay that van up front completely. I'd rather pay a lump sum off and then take finance on it, which keeps me at 3 vehicles on finance. So I'm going to rewind a little bit to 12 years ago. Most new businesses aren't trusted to banks and loan providers. So at the start, you have to buy second-hand vehicles and you have to pay up front, unless you're in a better position than I was 12 years ago. But for the first 4 vans at Warren's Removals, I saved, worked my socks off until I got to a point of being able to afford a very good second-hand van. And that's just how most businesses start. Now we're at a very good position where banks and finance agreements and companies are very, very happy to lend us money, because we've got a very good track record of paying companies back. Not just paying them back, but paying them back early. However, it's very important for me to specify now that it wasn't always like this. It takes time to get here. This is a 12-year operation. We are now fortunate enough to only get brand new vehicles, and we also have the ability to borrow if we wanted to. The reason I've got this rule of thumb, and I do get asked this as well, is when you are turning work away, which we quite often are at Warren's Removals, then why don't I look to increase the fleet and increase the business staff members? And the reason for that is quite simple. First of all is I speak to companies that were alive and kicking in 2009 during the recession, and I don't want to get to the point of having a lot of outgoings at the end of the month and not having enough work to cover it. That's when you can get into problems. This is why I have my rule of thumb. I know I can go out next week and I could buy 5 lorries and I can get them all on finance, and I could go all out on Google Ads and I can try and fill those lorries. But that is not the way I run my business. I want to make sure it's structured and I'm in control of everything at the same time. I do not want to get to the point where the business crashes, the market crashes, and I owe a lot out on finance, which is why I have my rule of thumb.
Do it like that. Do it like that. Do it like that. 'Cause all I want is you without me.
So one thing we get asked quite a lot at Warren's Removals is what's the best way to recruit new staff and good team members. Now, unfortunately, there isn't a guaranteed way of getting a brilliant member of staff every time, but we have tried a few different things. I think the most popular way is to use a recruitment platform like Indeed. What we do find with that is you get loads of applicants initially to start with, maybe 60 or 70 applicants. Out of those, probably 20 people are suitable or they've got experience if that's what you're looking for. So you invite those to an interview, maybe 10 of them turn up. Out of those 10 that come, 5 or 6 of them might be good enough to offer a job to. But normally only 1 or 2 will work out of those 60 or 70 people. So it is quite a long-winded process sending letters to people if they've been successful or not successful. So we have done that in the past and we have found a couple of really good people. However, we find the best way now is to use the team that already work for you. They know what it's like. They can recommend one of their friends or people who are looking for work, or they think that they might fit in. So they do a bit of the recruitment process for you. And once they come in, you can give them a trial shift. It's always good to start on a trial day, a trial shift or 2 shifts. Just let them shadow the team. You're not actually including them as a member of staff on that day. They can just shadow, carry a few boxes, just to see if they get stuck in and just to see if it's right for them, because it is quite hard work. So yeah, once you've done that trial shift, obviously you can, if they're suitable and they enjoy it and they get stuck in, then you can take that person on, whether it's part-time, full-time, whatever they're looking for. And then, use a probation period when they do start. Make sure you do an induction day where you do all your health and safety, your manual handling, all that sort of stuff. And yeah, hopefully during that process you find someone good. So it's definitely worth doing.
Do it like that. Do it like that.
Warren's Removals is looking to buy removals companies. So if you are looking to sell your business and you're getting to the end of your company and you can't handle it anymore, please do get in touch with me, because I am definitely interested in having a look. And over the last month, since the last episode, we almost bought a new business in the West Midlands. Now I say almost bought, we probably got 60 to 65% through with the deal. We had some negotiations, I had meetings, I had quite a few phone calls, I spoke to accountants, advisors, etc. Now this business was a bigger business than Warren's, turning over a similar amount of money, more staff, more HGVs, so it was a very, very big decision for us. I'd come to the realisation that this is something that Warren's needs. I was going to look at the business to put a management structure in place, so I wasn't necessarily needed to work there. But at the end of it, the financials didn't really add up. Nothing really screamed out that I could put a management structure in place and the business could cover the costs. So I'm not going to talk about what the business was called. I don't know where they're at now. I closed the door on the deal last week, unfortunately. Little bit of bittersweet, but these things happen. The business was under a little bit of financial pressure. There was a VAT bill that hadn't been paid. There was a PAYE bill that hadn't been paid. There was finance on the vehicles, plus the accounts wasn't really lining up for what I needed to be able to see. So I decided to close the door on that deal. Bit of a shame, but it is what it is. But that's now made me get into the mindset of buying a business. So if you are looking to sell a removals business in the West Midlands, please bear me in mind. Get in touch. I'm going to make this a bit of a rolling thing on each episode. I'm going to talk about inquiries month on month. So today is the 28th of February and the second month of the year, obviously. Last month, if you watched the episode, we received a record amount of inquiries of 176, which was incredible. This month, to date, the 28th, last day of the month, we have received 124. So it has taken a dip. It's 52 inquiries less than last month. However, we're not going to grumble. Receiving 124 inquiries in a 28-day period is actually amazing. We're really happy with that. After speaking to Esther, quite a lot of those inquiries we are receiving are asking for March. And March, unfortunately, is already pretty booked up. So there's not much more we can service in that month. And the obvious reason for that is the stamp duty situation. However, receiving all of those inquiries in February means that not everybody will end up moving in March, which could turn into a busy April. So hopefully that is the case. Okay, on this section, I wanted to talk about the Labour government and the changes that they are bringing to businesses in the UK in April. And I'm going to talk about the national insurance contributions. Okay, from April, the rate of national insurance is going up from 13.8% to 15%. Currently, before April, the allowance for national insurance contributions by the government to businesses is £5,000. That is not per employee, that is £5,000 off your total national insurance costs at the end of the year. This is now being increased from April to £10,500 per year, which means, in a nutshell, Warren's removals should not be affected because there's been an increase from £5,000 to £10,500. So to break it down, if you had an employee that you pay £30,000 per year, currently, before April, you will be paying £2,800 roughly to their national insurance contributions. From April, that will rise to £3,200, which is an increase of £330. So as an example, at Warren's Removals, we employ 15 staff members. Now, all of them are on different rates, but I'm going to break it down on an average of £30,000 per employee. For Warren's Removals, our additional contributions with the rise of national insurance would be roughly £4,300 per year. So if my averaging out is correct, the additional £4,300 we would need to pay for the national insurance contributions would be covered by the employment allowance contributions of £10,500. So we fit between the £5,500 increase. Okay, so just to round up, I do want to express I am no expert on this. However, I do get asked this question quite a lot. So I just thought I'd do a little bit of research myself and figure out the ins and outs of it. So from my understanding, and I could be wrong, please comment below if I am wrong and you've got your own thoughts. But it's my understanding that this isn't going to affect small businesses like us too much. This is more aimed at the bigger corporate companies that are paying a hell of a lot more money in national insurance per year, because these companies will have to pay an extra 1.2%. With us, Warren's Removals, we look like we are covered by the £5,500 threshold, the allowance that the government are giving us. So I don't think it's too much to worry about. So this month we hope you've enjoyed the content. We've had George working in the office on this episode to wrap all of the desks, because we always like to keep things moving and keep things refreshed. We never stand still here at Warren's. We hope you're enjoying the new theme of YouTube videos. The editing has switched up, and the content and information we hope you are getting value from. So without further ado, we're going to go and have a look at George's masterpiece desks. But before that, please, if you watch these videos, can you comment what you would like to see? Because that gives me inspiration and that gives me stuff to focus on, because I don't know what people want to see or hear. Anyway, next month we're going to start talking about the costs of storage. We're going to do a grand tour of the place and we're going to go through everything one by one. We're going to break down the cost and how much it actually takes to run a place like this.
And that's the end of the episode, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Episode 32. We hope you enjoyed. Next month's episode, we're going to be diving even more into the business side of things. And as always, please do get in touch if you require any of our services, whether that's iMove or Warren's Removals. Catch you next month.